So, a lot of people have been asking me, Chris, where have you been? What you been up to? It's been about 1.5 years since the last Mephisto show, so what you been working on? Well, let me show you. I'm currently working on doing a low print run of 3 different records from 3 different instrumental music projects. They're each fairly unique from each other, but united in that they are each very psychedelic. Like, it's basically an audio vortex. Heavy, down-tempo, chill. You can use them as a soundtrack for your psychedelic journey, some between the sheets music, or even just some relaxing vibrations. So, if you too are occasionally looking for a good trip soundtrack which you could have on vinyl, then listen up, because this is for you. The first record is called Kuen, Carnal Knowledge. This is the 5th Kuen record, and it's actually a remaster. I did a very small CD release in 2007 of this, and then never released it on the internet until now. And this will also be the first Kuen record to be pressed on vinyl. I was doing some remasters of some of the old Kuen tracks with the intention of doing a sort of best of album, until I realized over half the tracks were off the last Kuen album. So I decided to just remaster that album itself and put it out on its own, on vinyl, for the first time. This is the first Kuen release to be released on vinyl. It sounds amazing. I can't wait to hear it on wax. It's a sort of trip-hop, lo-fi, hip-hop vibe. If you like Tricky or Massive Attack, you should check it out. The second album is from a music group called The Disclosure Project. The Disclosure Project officially is created by 3 interdimensional beings who inhabit the 3rd moon of Neptune, although it's actually me. The Disclosure Project was started when I was in the hospital recovering from a spinal cord injury, from which I'm still sort of recovering, but I'm doing much better, thank you. And the first album and a half was actually made while in the hospital, and then continued as such once I came home. The Disclosure Project is probably the most trippy of my musical endeavors, and possibly the most weird. This is the 4th Disclosure Project album, but this album is a bit of a conceptual album. Now, the A side has no drums. It's all very ambient, swelling synths. It wasn't intentional at the time, but in retrospect, it does seem a little influenced by Jean-Michel Jarre, if you're a fan of him. There's also a Thai film called The Last Life in the Universe, and I think the soundtrack to that film might have had some inspiration on the album as well. The B side is a little more up-tempo, a little more energetic. The A side, is kind of exploring outer space. The B side is kind of exploring inner space. I can't wait for you to have a listen. At some point I should have some streaming links down below here, but in the meantime I'll have snippets in this video. The 3rd, final, and to be honest, project I am most excited about is the new record by Hoof. Hoof, like the other 2 projects, is also written, recorded, performed, mixed, mastered, etc. by myself. Hoof has also some psychedelic origins.
It actually was conceived of on an acid trip.
That day I had kind of a vision of the concept of what this project is and what it means to me, and I'm not sure I can describe it. idea is that you put it on and you're completely sunk into a different vibration of consciousness. Now, it of course helps if you have a little bit of psychedelic stimuli by way of good company or some herbs or
Perhaps even some mushrooms.
however, it's not required to enjoy this record, as it tells a story, it unfolds, it takes you on a journey, and that's very much the intention. Each music project I do, in my mind, I have sort of a set of rules for, like, for instance, Cohen, at least originally, was all those songs were created entirely in FL Studio or Fruity Loops. The Disclosure project is all analog synths. That's kind of the rule for the project. This record, however, I wanted to go much more just guitars, drums, and bass. For you gearheads out there, I'll give you a rundown of the instruments I used on this new Hoof album. It sort of ended up being a Gibson tribute album of sorts. I used my 1970 Gibson SG bass, 1999 Gibson SG guitar, and my 1962 Gibson Invader tube amp. To round it out, I'm also using the Mapex drum kit, some Zildjian cymbals, but also some weirder, older cymbals as well, and my handmade German classical guitar also. Now, if you do not currently have access to a record player, but would like to participate anyway, at some point in the near future, for anyone who donates over $10, you'll get digital download codes for each of the 3 albums. Now, at some point in the future, they will all be available on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, etc. However, I am going to do the vinyl release first. So if you want early access, either to the digital or to the physical copies, this is your way. The GoFundMe goal that I'm seeking is merely for the actual vinyl production and the covers printing for these albums. The actual bare minimum amount, like I'm still paying out of pocket for many other aspects of this, but if I could get a little bit of assistance with the printing of the records and the printing of the covers, I would be eternally grateful and very proud that I was able to do something that made an impact to you all before it even got released. So if you're interested, if you can donate, if you'd like to pre-order a record, I highly encourage you to do whatever you feel most comfortable doing or whatever you're most excited about. If you are even able to donate $1, if you dig what I'm doing, if you're anxious to hear the full streaming thing, chip in a little bit. Believe me, it helps immensely. I have been busting my butt not only to get these records made, but to come up with the funds to get them pressed, and I'm very, very excited to hear these on wax, and I hope you are too.